This just in, you were looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning.
A new book called The Truth About September 11th claims to present evidence that the destruction of the World Trade Center was not the work of terrorists, but was in fact perpetrated by the U.S. government.
We did not use thermite bombs. I did the research myself. It would not have worked. We flew an enormous airplane into a building.
In the world, would the U.S. government want to stage this attack on their own soil?
Greed, of course.
Welcome to Conspiracy Theories Revealed. Now, more than 20 years after 9/11, it seems unlikely that some people will ever accept the truth, where the truths are sometimes stranger than fiction. The first 9/11's conspiracy theories went viral on the internet almost immediately after the attacks, on September 11th, 2001, and since then, they have grown in both size and scope. Despite extensive reports by the 9/11 Commission, U.S. government agencies, and many other expert groups debunking the existence of any hidden conspiracies.
2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families.
Activist groups from all over the world, including the 9/11 Truth Movement, continue to state that the real facts have been hidden. In this video, mind-blowing 9/11 conspiracy theories revealed and debunked, we dive deep into the controversial realm of 9/11's conspiracy theories that continue to prevail, despite the massive weight of evidence and facts against them. Join us as we separate truth from fiction and shed light on the events surrounding this tragic day in history. Watch now to uncover the reality behind the myths. Number 5. Jet fuel cannot melt steel.
Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams, and I'm sure you've seen the clips on YouTube where different guys are like, yes, it does, and I don't know if you've seen people reacting to what many say, jet fuel, 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, steel melts at 2,500, but then they show that steel does lose strength at around 600.
One of the most commonly discussed 9/11 conspiracy theories is the claim that jet fuel cannot melt steel beams. This idea originates from the observation that jet fuel burns at a maximum temperature of around 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, while steel melts at about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit.
Some conspiracy theorists argue jet fuel doesn't burn hot enough to melt steel, including Spike Lee in an interview with the New York Times last month.
Conspiracy theorists argue that because the fuel couldn't have melted the steel beams, the buildings must have been brought down by another means, such as pre-planted explosives.
Fuel cannot melt steel beams. Jet fuel burns up to 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, while steel melts at around 2,500 degrees. However, steel does begin to lose strength at around 600 degrees Fahrenheit, and with the weight above the impact point on the North Tower similar to that of the Titanic, the weakened steel simply could not hold, and the tower collapsed.
However, this theory ignores the fact that steel weakens significantly at temperatures above 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, becoming flexible and losing much of its structural strength. This weakening, rather than outright melting, was enough to cause the disastrous failure of the World Trade Center Tower's support structures. Number 4. The miracle of the Pentagon.
Even though 125 people were killed in the Pentagon September 11th, there was still something miraculous about that day. The 757 obliterated the first and part of the second floor, but the third, fourth, and fifth floors remained suspended in midair for 35 minutes.
Another theory focuses on the Pentagon attack, questioning how a young pilot could have steered a Boeing 757 into one of the world's most secure buildings with such precision.
Despite dozens of witnesses who watched a plane fly into the side of the Pentagon, many conspiracy theorists believe it was instead a missile that caused the damage. When the plane hit the Pentagon's exterior wall, it created a hole approximately 75 feet wide. So why wasn't the hole 125 feet wide, the same as the plane's wingspan?
Conspiracy theorists often point to the relatively small impact hole and minimal rubble as evidence that something other than a commercial airliner struck the Pentagon. Some suggest it was a missile or a smaller aircraft. However, thorough investigations and multiple eyewitness accounts confirm that American Airlines Flight 77 did crash into the Pentagon.
5 minutes before the plane hit, somebody said, "Come over, you gotta see what's going on." So I walked over and I was looking at the television. And I walked back to my desk and I called my wife. And I walked back over to watch some more of what was going on in New York. And I had just been standing there for just a couple of minutes when the plane hit the building.
The difference in the impact size can be explained by the fact that much of the aircraft broke apart upon impact, with the wings and tail section being broken off outside the building. At Conspiracy Theories Revealed, we also let you be the judge by encouraging you to share your comments and thoughts in the comments section of this video. Number 3. 9/11 was a Jewish-led conspiracy.
Liking comments on Facebook that indicate support for the idea that Israel was responsible for 9/11. Let's bring up this first image. Seeing there, the like on the actual first comment, that is actually from Ted Nugent. Israeli Mossad was responsible for the 9/11 attack. Why are we still protecting the Zionists who also control our media? Podcasts are fine, but you should have a bigger forum.
One of the most pernicious conspiracy theories is the baseless claim that the 9/11's attacks were orchestrated by Jewish individuals or the Israeli government.
One of the most far-reaching was that the attacks were a Jewish conspiracy. Following the retraction of a newspaper story that thousands of Jews had been killed, some took this as a sign that people had been pre-warned.
Supporters of this theory believe that Jewish employees were warned by Israeli intelligence to skip work on September 11th, resulting in no Jewish deaths at the World Trade Center and the absence of Israeli casualties as evidence. This theory has been widely dismissed as a form of anti-Semitic propaganda, with no credible evidence to support it. The idea is built on long-standing opinions and beliefs. Number 2. Controlled explosions.
The 110-story World Trade Center towers were designed to withstand the impact of a commercial jetliner. Yet within 2 hours of the attacks, both collapsed. So why did the Twin Towers fail so disastrously and so quickly?
The theory that the Twin Towers were brought down by controlled demolitions is one of the most popular 9/11's conspiracies. Supporters point to the way the buildings collapsed, arguing that they fell too quickly and symmetrically to be the result of the plane impacts and following fires alone.
This actually is a piece of copper that is part of a shape-charged weapon. And what happens is you put a little explosive in each one of these little pockets and you set off the charge, and this whole rim implodes and you get a stream of liquid copper, and this jet of copper will cut through steel.
They also reference reports of explosions heard by some witnesses. However, structural engineers and demolition experts have consistently found that the collapse characteristics were consistent with the damage caused by the planes and the resulting fires. The explosions heard were likely the sounds of floors collapsing and air being forced out of the building. Number 1. 9/11 was carried out by the U.S. government.
I have been told that this is the gateway to the traction. That's how Trump does it. He enters it at one irrefutable point that they covered up what happened on 9/11, that they blocked the lawsuits, that Mueller was the guy that quarterbacked all that, and then he quarterbacked the entire cover-up, brought in 2 days after 9/11.
Perhaps the most widespread and controversial conspiracy theory is the idea that the 9/11 attacks were an inside job, planned by individuals within the U.S. government to justify wars in the Middle East and the expansion of state surveillance.
The day before 9/11, the day before the attacks, Rumsfeld gave a press conference where he talked about trillions of dollars missing. The day, then a plane slams into the very part of the building where they were doing the accounting.
I have names, phone numbers, everyone involved in this.
You gotta be kidding. Okay? Names and phone numbers.
I have here the voucher for the lessons, for the flight lessons.
This is obviously forged documents. I mean, come on, did President Bush give you these himself?
I work for Bush. Me and Bush, we go out, we hang. He goes.
Supporters of this theory argue that the quick identification of the hijackers and the failure of NORAD, short for North American Aerospace Defense Command, to track the planes suggests prior awareness or involvement. They also point to the collapse of World Trade Center Building 7, which was not hit by a plane but still fell later in the day, as suspicious. Some believe that the government's actions in the aftermath, including the Patriot Act and the invasion of Iraq, were too conveniently timed to be a coincidence. These theories suggest that the attacks justified decreasing civil liberties and engaging in long-desired military action.
The melted core, I mean, that was definitely evidence that there were thermite bombs that were used in bringing down those buildings.
I can assure you, we did not use thermite bombs. I did the research myself. It would not have worked. We flew an enormous airplane into a building. Okay, I think it is obvious what caused the building to crumble.
Why are you being so close-minded to this, sir? If more
How
people
would you
just
like
had the
it
courage.
if you spent, 2 months in a mountain cave, sleeping on rocks, planning something really special, only to have someone take the credit away from you? Say, oh no.
However, the 9/11 Commission report and multiple independent investigations have confirmed that al-Qaeda terrorists carried out the attacks. There is no reliable evidence to support the claim that the attacks were planned or carried out by U.S. officials. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave us a like and check out other cool videos from our channel, Conspiracy Theories Revealed. Also, be sure to subscribe to our channel to be notified of more thought-provoking content on conspiracy theories and hidden truths from our latest videos where we let you be the judge.